The market on Station Thalrex buzzed with noise. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked between glowing stalls. Bright signs in many languages flashed overhead. Among them walked Valeria, a young alien girl with violet eyes, short silver horns, and soft blue skin. She was excited. Today was her final day of orientation. Tomorrow, she would begin her cultural exchange with a real human. Be careful. Valari, her elder cousin, had warned, humans are strange, wild, emotional, but Valari was curious, too curious, as she browsed through strange earth fruits. At a vendor's stall, her large ears twitched. She heard something odd. I heard human males eat their females, said a tall insectoid alien, laughing with his friend. Valari's hand froze just above a bunch of yellow bananas. Her heart skipped. Eat them? The other alien repeated, not joking. They say human. Males devour their females in bed, like some mating habit. Valari's face turned pale. She quietly stepped back, heart thumping in her chest. Was this true? She hurried away from the stall, clutching her datapad tightly. Her mind raced. Devour? Eat. Is this a translation error? She wondered. Back in her room, she opened her files about humans. Most of it was about trade, language, and simple customs. But nowhere did it say anything about eating their mates. She tapped her pad. Open translator. Human slang. Several strange terms popped up. Eat her alive, used during romantic teasing. She tastes so sweet, often used in intimate situations. Devour her whole. A human male's expression of desire. Verla dropped the pad. Her hands were shaking. It's true, she whispered, eyes wide. They really eat their partners. Suddenly a soft ping echoed from her console. Message. Welcome, Valari. Your assigned human is Ethan Cole. He will meet you tomorrow morning. At Dock 17, he has offered to host you at his residence. Enjoy your stay. Valari stared at the screen in horror. Host me. In his home. Is this a trap? I'll be eaten before I even learn his language fully. She began pacing the room. What do I do? Run. Refuse. Tell command. But if she backed out now, her family name would be shamed, and she'd never be allowed on Earth. Finally, she made a decision. She would go, but she'd be careful, very careful. She pulled out a tiny recording device from her bag and hid it inside her jacket. It looked like a simple decorative button, but it would record everything. If Ethan tried anything strange, she'd have proof. The next day, the spaceport smelled of fuel and recycled air. Valari stood nervously, looking around for her assigned human. Then she saw him. Ethan Cole was tall, light brown skin, short black hair, and a kind smile. He wore a simple Earth's t-shirt and cargo pants. He looked harmless. That's what makes him dangerous, Valari thought. He walked up to her and extended his hand. Valari, I'm Ethan. Welcome. Valari stared at his hand, his fingers, strong. Sharp teeth hidden behind that smile. Slowly, she shook his hand, but kept her eyes on his mouth. Thank you. For welcoming me, she said slowly. Ethan chuckled. You're going to love Earth's culture. It's very warm, friendly. Valari didn't answer. Warm, so he can cook me first? She wondered, sweating under her collar. He led her toward his transport. As they walked, he glanced at her. You seem nervous? First time meeting a human? Valari nodded. Yes. I've only read basic things, not the ... eating parts. She bit her tongue. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Sorry, nothing, she quickly said. I mean, I have so much to learn. When they reached his house, a small dome home near the edge of the green zone, Ethan showed her around. One bed, but I'll take the floor if it makes you more comfortable, he offered kindly. Valari froze. Why mention the bed first? Nodded stiffly. Floor is fine. As night came, Valari pretended to sleep. She lay still, ears focused, recording device active. Any strange sounds, any strange words, she'd catch them. Ethan rolled over and murmured in his sleep. Valaris. Eyes snapped open. Did he just say? She smells so sweet, like strawberries. Her face turned cold. He was dreaming of eating a female. and now she knew what flavor he preferred. Tomorrow, she told herself, I will find the truth.
Asterisk.
Before it's too late. Valari stood outside Ethan's small, Earth-style cabin, trying not to show her trembling fingers. The place looked peaceful. Too peaceful. Tall green trees surrounded the home. Birds chirped. The breeze carried a soft floral scent. There was even a little garden, patched with something called basil. To Valari, it felt like walking into a predator's den just painted nicely. Ethan opened the door with a smile.
Oh.
Welcome to your new temporary home, he said warmly. Shoes off inside Earth rule. Valari glanced down at her boots. Remove shoes. Is it part of a ritual before eating someone? Still, she obeyed and stepped inside. The floor was warm. Too warm, she flinched. Ethan laughed gently. Heated floors. Helps with cold nights. Valari nodded silently, recording every word inside her mind, and her secret button-dash recorder. Inside, everything was neat. A soft couch, bookshelves, dim golden lights, and one large bed pushed near the wall. Her eyes locked onto it. One bed? She whispered. Ethan followed her gaze. Sorry, didn't expect a guest when I got this place. You can have it. We'll take the couch. Valari blinked. He was giving up the bed. No creature gives up comfort unless he's planning something worse later. I can take the floor, she said quickly. Ethan raised an eyebrow. You sure? It's not very comfortable. Valari gave a stiff nod. I prefer sleeping near exits. He laughed again. You're funny. But Valari wasn't joking. Dinner was awkward. Ethan made something called spaghetti. Valari stared. At the red sauce, it looked disturbingly like blood. He twirled the long noodles on his fork and slurped them. He's practicing eating ropes of flesh, Valari thought in panic. Her stomach churned. You're not hungry? Ethan asked, noticing her untouched plate. I already consumed nutrition earlier, she lied. No problem, he said kindly, sipping something called wine. It was red too. Valari slowly backed away from the table and sat on the floor by the window. Ethan didn't push. You'll get used to things. It's different planets, different customs. I get it. Or a different prey, she thought grimly. Night came fast. Valari curled up on the floor with a blanket. Ethan dimmed the lights and lay on the couch across the room. Rain tapped softly on the glass. It should have been calming, but Valari couldn't sleep. She watched him carefully from her blanket. He was resting peacefully, arms over his chest. Too still, too quiet. What if he was pretending? She crawled silently to his bookshelf. A large, leather-bound book caught her eye. On the spine it read, How to Make Her Melt in Your Mouth, a Guide to Pleasing Her. Melt. In his mouth. In his mouth, suddenly Ethan shifted. You. Okay over there? He murmured sleepily. Valari jumped and dropped the book. It thudded softly. I was just exploring human knowledge, she whispered. He sat up, rubbing his eyes. Want me to read you something? It's a romance book. Might help you sleep. Romance? Is that the name of their cooking ritual?
Oh no,
she said quickly, backing away. I mean, I must meditate in silence. Ethan shrugged. All right. Good night, Valari. She returned to her corner, her heart pounding. The book's title burned into her brain. Hours passed. The rain got heavier. Valari's eyes finally closed for a few moments. But then, a sound soft, wet. She opened her eyes. Ethan was mumbling in his sleep again. She tastes like honey, he whispered with a soft groan. Shifting under his blanket, Valari's whole body locked. He was dreaming of eating someone. I knew it, she thought. Breath caught in her throat. She rolled to the far corner, clutching the blanket like armor. Just then, Ethan turned over and muttered again. Can't wait to devour her completely. Valari nearly screamed. She didn't sleep the rest of the night. When morning light came through the window, she was still. Curled up in the corner, eyes bloodshot, recorder still running, Ethan stretched and yawned. Wow, I slept great. You. Valari just stared at him, her voice flat. Your... dot. Dreams were very loud. Ethan blinked. Sorry. I dream talk when I eat too much pasta, so it was food. Valari thought, but she wasn't convinced. One wrong move. She'd be honey-flavored dessert. She had to uncover the truth before it was her turn to be devoured. Valari hadn't blinked all morning. Her eyes stayed locked on Ethan's movements, how he stretched, how he drank his water, how casually he hummed while brushing his teeth. To her, it all looked like prey preparation. And the worst part, he smiled while doing it. Verla forced a polite nod when he offered her breakfast-thick slices of something, called French toast, soaked in syrup. He's already practicing with sticky fluids, she noted, quickly declining. Still not. Hungry? Ethan said. I digest slowly, she replied nervously, inching away, as Ethan left for his morning jog. Larry sprang into action. The moment the cabin door clicked shut, she stood up fast, rushed toward his desk, and activated the console. Her fingers moved with lightning speed across the glowing screen. She only had 23 minutes before he returned. The files were neatly organized, too neat, almost like he wanted her to find them. But that didn't scare her. What scared her was the folder labeled Feeding Time. Private. Valari hesitated. Her breathing quickened. She tapped the file. A list of titles appeared. Devour her slowly. How to Eat Her Right, Licking Techniques, Volume to Y. Moaning is a good sign, mouth pleasure a study of human desire. Her hand flew to her mouth. It's true, he is preparing to eat a female. One piece at a time. She tapped one of the files. A video opened. Soft music. Candles. A woman lay on a table, covered in chocolate. A man leaned in and slowly licked her shoulder. Valari screamed. Inside, it's a ritual, she thought. He's seasoning her. It's like meat. She slammed the screen off, stumbling backward. Ah! Her legs hit the desk chair, and she fell onto it. Heart racing. But then she saw something strange. A small square icon blinked at the bottom corner of the screen. Culture class, romance, and human. Slang lesson 3, her fingers trembled as she tapped it. The lesson started with a human female speaking into the camera. Human language often uses words that sound dangerous, but mean something fun. When someone says they want to eat you up, they usually mean they find you attractive. It's not about food. It's about love, pleasure, and connection.
Calories.
Mouth dropped open. When a man says, I could devour you, it means he wants to be close, intimate, not to harm, but to make you feel good. It's a human form of bonding. Valara's body froze. Her mind scrambled to adjust. So wait, they don't mean actual eating. They mean closeness, comfort. But her chest still pounded. What kind of closeness involves licking someone's neck and calling it dessert? Just then, the front door opened. Ethan stepped in, sweaty and smiling. You should have joined me. Fresh air's great for the soul. Valari jumped to her feet. I was just studying. Yes, human language. Lessons, very enlightening. Ethan blinked. Oh, cool. Did you check out the romance and slang files? It's pretty funny stuff. She nodded stiffly. Funny, yes. Hilarious. Walked over to the fridge and pulled out something soft and red. Want a strawberry? Valari stared at it, the forbidden fruit. She shook her head quickly. I don't. Like things that stain. Ethan laughed, popping it in his mouth. Suit yourself. Oh, she watched him chew. He looked so calm, so normal. Not a predator, not a monster. And yet, every part of her still screamed, don't trust it. Later that night, Valari sat by herself near the window, watching the stars. Her mind was in chaos. On one hand, she had the slang lessons. On the other, she had videos proof that humans did lick, bite, and moan during pleasure time. She didn't know whether to run or ask more questions. Suddenly, Ethan walked in holding 2 mugs. Hot chocolate, he offered. Valari hesitated, then took it. One tiny sip, her eyes widened. Sweet, thick, comforting, not scary. Ethan smiled. Told you, human stuff can be addictive. Her gaze flickered to his mouth again. It no longer looked dangerous, just Confusing, maybe he wasn't here to devour her. Maybe he was trying to show her something deeper. But she still kept the recorder running just in case. Because in the world of humans, even dessert came with a warning. Valari sat stiffly on the edge of the soft couch, her hands gripping the cushion as if it might attack. Ethan sat next to her, holding a remote and grinning. Okay, you ready? Tonight, you get your first full lesson in Earth romance. She blinked. Romance. As in emotional hunting ritual? He laughed. No, not hunting. Just how humans show affection, love, attraction. Valari didn't. Relax. Her translator had been glitching ever since she found Ethan's devour her slowly folder. Still, she nodded. We'll observe, from a safe distance. It's a movie, Ethan said, pressing play. You'll be fine, the film started. Bright lights. A man and woman on screen, laughing in the rain. Their clothes were wet. Faces close. Then they kissed. VALR, I gasped. He's starting to feed, she whispered, leaning forward. Ethan chuckled. That's just a kiss. It's normal. The man picked up the woman and carried her inside. The music slowed. They fell onto a bed, laughing and touching. Valari's heart began racing. He bit her lip gently. She moaned. Valari nearly dropped the popcorn bowl. This is it. It's the beginning of the devouring ceremony. On screen, the man whispered, I'm going to eat you alive. Valari shrieked and threw the bowl. Popcorn exploded everywhere. Ethan jumped. Whoa, are you okay? She stood, pointing at the screen. He confessed. He said he would eat her alive and she smiled. Is this normal? Ethan paused the movie, trying not to laugh. It's just a metaphor. He doesn't really mean eat. It's about pleasure. Humans enjoy skin contact, passion. That's what he meant. Valari was breathing hard, confused. But I've seen your books, your files. They lick. They bite, they groan. It's all there. Ethan raised his hands. It's all for joy, not harm. No one gets hurt. She stared at him suspiciously. Why is she moaning? He rubbed the back of his neck. She likes it. Valari turned red. So the female wants to be eaten. Ethan laughed so hard he nearly fell off. The couch later, as Valari sat on the balcony, hugging her knees, her mind spun. Humans are insane, she thought. They talk like predators but touch like lovers. They bite with affection. And their females enjoy it. Her cheeks were still hot. She couldn't forget the way the female in the movie arched her back and said, More, don't stop. Was it a cry for help or a command? Then Ethan brought her a blanket. Sorry if the movie shocked you, he said gently. How weird human customs can seem. Valari didn't answer. Her thoughts were stuck in a loop. He sat next to her. You can ask anything, you know. She turned toward him slowly. What does melt in your mouth mean? And why does your kind describe partners as delicious? Ethan blinked, then smiled. It means you really enjoy someone's presence, their touch, their scent, their sounds. It's an expression. An extreme way to say, I adore you. Valeri's tail curled around her ankle. That's terrifying. He laughed again. To us, it's beautiful. That night, she lay awake again, staring at the ceiling. Ethan had gone to sleep. She heard the gentle sound of his breathing from the couch. Valari turned the movie back on alone this time. She watched the scene again. This time, she didn't flinch. She focused on the woman's face, not fear but longing, on the man's expression. Hunger, but devotion. She touched her lips gently. Her skin still burned where she remembered Ethan's fingers brushing against her when he passed the blanket earlier, and then another confusing thought appeared in her mind. If this is what humans call being eaten, why does a small part of me wonder what it would feel like? She turned off the screen quickly and buried her face in the pillow. The next morning, Ethan found her cooking eggs. Whoa, he said. You can cook, Valari? Didn't look at him. I downloaded your breakfast files. He raised an eyebrow. Well, thanks. I'm impressed. She handed him a plate and mumbled, I didn't poison it. He grinned. That's good to hear. As they ate, she watched him bite into the egg, soft, tender, warm, like that movie scene. Her eyes stayed on his lips. Then Ethan looked up, meeting her eyes. You're staring, he said gently. She looked away. I'm studying. For science. Sure. He said with a smirk. Science. She sipped her juice and whispered to herself, one day, I'll understand you. Even if it means being the desert. Valari had reached her limit. She had survived whispers of devouring, emotional films full of biting and moaning, one too many compliments about how sweet she smelled. But last night had crossed the final line. Ethan had been half asleep. On the couch when he murmured the words that made her soul leave her body for a second. Valari would taste like honey and fire. She didn't even sleep after that. She just sat in the corner, wide-eyed, hugging her knees like a haunted soul. Now it was morning and she had made her decision. While Ethan was outside watering his basil plants, Valari activated her communicator, switched to emergency cultural protocol, and selected top priority misunderstanding, possibly cannibalistic human behavior. The call connected with a soft beep. Sleepy alien officer in a fuzzy pink robe answered. Cultural ops. How can I? Valari, is something wrong? Valari leaned in, whispering, yes, very wrong. The human male assigned to Ethan, he's been making comments about tasting me, devouring me. He watches films where they lick and bite. He even talks about melting me in his mouth. He's preparing to consume me. The officer blinked. Did he try to cook you? No. Did he show weapons? No, but he has teeth. Very clean ones. Always smiling. Did he attack you? No, but he keeps offering food, ... and chocolate. The officer leaned closer to her screen and sighed deeply. Oh no, she muttered. Not again. Valari frowned. Again? Do you mean again? The officer rubbed her face. That's not a threat. That's just how human males flirt. Valera's ears twitched. Flirt. Yes, the officer said with a long groan. When they say things like, I could eat you up, or you look delicious, they don't mean it literally. It's their way of saying, you're attractive, desired. It's a mating thing. It's not a murder thing. Valari stared blankly at the screen, so the moaning, the licking, is pleasure, not pain. Valari blinked, and when he said I smelled like strawberries, he probably meant he likes your scent, like perfume. Valera's tail curled in confusion. Then, what about the book I found? How to Eat Her Right. That's not a recipe book. Officer chuckled. No, Valari, that's adult material. We should have added that to your training pack. Valari sank into the floor. Then came the final blow. The officer laughed and said, we didn't think you would panic like the last. Intern. She actually locked herself in a food closet for 3 days. At least she only called us. Valari's jaw dropped. This is common. Oh yes, the officer nodded. You're not the first alien girl to think a human was about to roast her, but trust me, most of the time, they're just being weirdly romantic. Before Valari could ask more, she heard the front door open. She quickly ended the call and stood up straight. Trying to look normal, Ethan walked in, wiping sweat from his forehead. You all right? You look like you just saw a ghost. Valari cleared her throat. I had a meeting with who? My superiors. For cultural clarification, he raised an eyebrow. About me? She took a deep breath. Yes. About your constant mouth-based metaphors. Ethan laughed. Let me guess they explained the slang. Valari nodded, eyes squinting. You use words like devour and melt, but they mean closeness, not cooking. He gave a soft smile. Exactly. See, you're learning? She crossed her arms. I thought you were a predator. Sugar-coated cannibal. He nearly choked laughing. Wow, that's a new one. She tilted her head. Then why do you say I'm sweet? Why talk about licking and biting? He walked closer, stopping just a foot away. Because I like you, Velar. You're brave, honest, adorably confused. That's attractive. To a human, showing desire with words like that, it's normal. She blushed slightly and looked down. I might have filed an incident report, she whispered. He smirked. Let me guess. They told you I wasn't dangerous. She nodded. Double quotes? Do you believe them? A pause. Then, mostly. He chuckled. Well, that's better than nothing. Later that night, Valari sat on the couch with Ethan side by side. This time, the movie on screen was a comedy.
I'll lick him.
No biting, just laughing. She leaned her head slightly against his shoulder. He glanced down, getting comfy. Oh. I'm observing proximity bonding, she muttered. He smiled. So, still afraid I'll eat you? She shook her head, then added under her breath, unless it's metaphorical. Ethan's eyebrows shot up. What was that? Nothing, she said quickly, blushing hard. He chuckled again. Sure you don't want dessert? Valari turned slowly toward him. Define dessert. Valari stood in front of the mirror, poking her own cheek. Soft, she whispered, confused. She leaned closer. Her blue skin was slightly flushed. Chest was warm. Her breathing was fast again. Every time Ethan smiled at her now, her stomach twisted. Not in fear, in not. Something worse. Something strange. Is this how humans begin digestion? Or is this how aliens fall? She didn't know. All she knew was last night when he brushed her hair back from her eyes and asked gently, Still scared of being eaten? She almost said, Only if it's you? That morning, Ethan sat on the porch sipping coffee. As the sunrise painting his face gold, Valari stepped out quietly and sat beside him, his arms hugging her knees. She stared at his cup. What does it taste like? He smiled. Want to try?
She
Hesitated, then nodded. He handed her the cup. Their fingers touched. Her whole body shivered. She took a sip and coughed. Bitter, like burnt plants. He laughed. Told you it's an acquired taste. She passed it back, still watching his lips. Those lips that once terrified her, now made her curious. Later that day, Valari found herself wandering Ethan's room. The drawer with the leather-bound book sat half open. She peeked inside were more titles. How to Touch Her Gently Whispers in the Dark. Eating Isn't Always About Food, a Guide for Lovers. Her fingers brushed the covers. Single thought struck her like a bolt. He never touched me without asking. He never forced. He never tried to eat me. Not even once. Then why do I want to know what it feels like? That evening, she prepared something for the first time, a small dish of fruit slices and melted chocolate. When Ethan walked into the kitchen, he paused, surprised. Whoa, what's all this? Valari stood by the counter, hands behind her back. I have a question. Ask anything. She held up a strawberry, dipped it into the chocolate, and stared at it for a long moment. Is this what humans mean when they say someone tastes sweet? Ethan blinked, caught off guard. I mean, yeah, kinda then. She stepped closer, holding the chocolate-dipped fruit between them. Will you teach me how to enjoy sweetness? His breath hitched. Are you sure? Valari nodded slowly, for cultural understanding. Ethan leaned in, took the strawberry gently with his mouth and bit it. Chocolate smeared slightly on his. Valri stared at it without thinking. She reached out thumb, wiping the chocolate from his skin. He grabbed her hand softly, their eyes. No words, only silence and breath, and the growing heat between them. Ethan leaned forward, slowly, but stopped just an inch away. You still scared? He whispered. Valari's voice was shaky. Only of stopping now. They didn't rush. Humans didn't bite for pain. Aliens didn't need to. Understand everything to feel. His lips met hers. Gently, softly. Her first kiss was not terrifying. It was warm, sweet, like the chocolate. Her body responded with curiosity. Not panic. His hands stayed at her sides, respectful. She whispered, This is not what I expected. Ethan chuckled. Neither did I. Later she sat curled up on the couch in his oversized hoodie, holding the empty fruit bowl. He sat beside her, fingers brushing her tail gently. She didn't flinch, she said. I thought being eaten would be a slow, painful process. Ethan smirked. I warned you, it is slow, but hopefully not painful. She rolled her eyes, laughing for the first time in days, then added in a whisper, I think I'm starting to crave it. Smile softened. Then I'll take my time. That night they didn't do anything more. No rushing. No further kissing, just shared warmth. Under the blanket on the couch, her head on his shoulder, her tail wrapped around his leg, and her thoughts, spinning faster than any translator could follow, in her personal report to Cultural Command, Valari wrote, Human males are confusing, dangerous in language, gentle in practice. What they call devouring is not destruction, it's surrender. I now understand the meaning behind the slang. And I'm not afraid anymore. I'm curious. She paused, then added, request extension of my stay. And just beneath that, request permission to explore further, at emotional digestion. Valari stood in the garden behind Ethan's cabin, barefoot. Bare-salt. The wind gently lifted her white robe. Morning light touched her blue skin like a blessing. Her hands were holding a steaming mug of something she once feared. Hot chocolate. She took a slow sip, sweet, warm, comforting, like him. 2 weeks had passed since her panic-filled message to command. Since she thought she was being prepared like a meal now, she knew better. But more importantly, she felt different. The fear that once sat like ice in her chest had melted into laughter, into smiles, into curiosity, into something more. Ethan stepped out of the cabin, stretching in his flannel shirt, yawning like a harmless lion waking from sleep. He saw her and grinned. Morning, sweet tooth. Valari turned, raising an eyebrow. I am not a tooth. He laughed. It means someone who loves sweetness. She sipped again and gave a small smile. Then perhaps I've become one. After breakfast, Valari sat cross-legged on the couch with Ethan beside her, holding the remote. Another human movie? He replied. This. One's about 2 people from different worlds. She tilted her head. Sounds familiar. He chuckled. But this one has a happy ending. She leaned into him. Doesn't yours? He looked at her and paused, then whispered, That depends on what you say next. Double quotes. Silence. Her breath caught. The room suddenly felt too small. Too hot. VALAR. I gently reached up and touched his jaw. Soft, strong, safe, I used to think. She whispered that being eaten meant disappearing. Being hurt? Losing yourself? And now? Ethan asked, eyes searching hers. Now? She smiled softly. I understand it means being cherished, bit by bit. He leaned in. This time she didn't freeze. Their kiss was slower, deeper, not just lips, but trust and surrender. Later that evening, under the stars, she brought him something, a small carved stone, glowing faintly blue. This is a bindstone, she said quietly. We use it when we feel ready to share futures, to become one in heart, not just body. Ethan stared at it, stunned. You're giving this to me? I'm offering it, she said. Choose whether to take it. He stepped forward. No jokes, no slang, just honesty. He took the stone gently into his hand and nodded. I choose you. From that day on, the word eat became a private joke between them. When he kissed her neck, she'd giggle, Careful, I'm not dessert. When she nibbled his shoulder, he'd groan, Too late, I'm melting. Their love was strange, sweet, savory, and real. In her final report to the Galactic Cultural Department, Valari wrote, Human males eat their females, but not with teeth, with devotion, with patience, with fire in the heart and tenderness in the hands. What I once feared, I now crave. She signed it, sealed it, and never sent it, because some truths were not for reports. Some truths were only for hearts. On a quiet night, as they lay under the stars, Ethan whispered in her ear, Valari, if I ever say I want to devour you. She turned toward him, smiling. I'll ask for seconds.